Welcome back, guys. It is day 13 on the Camino Francés, breaking it down with the help of Google Earth Pro. Day 13, to some a very unlucky number. It was the worst day on the Camino Francés for me. Why? The weather. It rained so much, it was extremely cold, it was windy, it was overcast. All the elements were against me. Also, walking from Agés to Burgos is not the prettiest of stages. The first half, yes, you're out in the countryside, going over a hill. You got archaeological sites. But the second half, you're going through the major Polígono Industrial, the industrial section that every major city has. You have options if you want to avoid the airport. You have three different options to get into Burgos, but we're going to go over that in today's stage. Before we go into today's stage, let's go over the Camino de Santiago as a whole, so that by the time you guys get there, you know it like the back of your hands, which I'm sure you know by now. The Camino de Santiago stretches about 800 kilometers from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port all the way to Santiago de Compostela. And some people, the lucky ones, go to Muxía or Fisterra 100 kilometers away to the end of the world. These are the major cities that you're going to come across, starting with Pamplona, Logroño, Burgos, León, Ponferrada, and finally Sarria. Sarria to Santiago, the last 100 kilometers in case you want the Compostela. That's the minimum that you have to do to get it. These are the major cities. They are easy to get in and out. Every single mode of transportation stops there. Airplanes, they have airports, trains, buses, you name it. As you make your way through the northern Spain, you're going to go through major autonomous regions and provinces. We start with Navarra, followed by La Rioja, and then we enter the massive Castilla y León, which is divided in three, at least the three provinces that we're going to walk across. Starting with the province of Burgos, followed by Palencia, and finally León. After León, we enter Galicia, the mountains, yes. And Galicia is divided by Lugo and finally A Coruña. We have already covered the first 2 weeks on the Camino de Santiago. The first one was from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Logroño. And now Logroño, we're going to end in Burgos. The first 282.6 kilometers of the trip are now behind us. And up ahead is La Meseta. They say the Camino de Santiago is divided into three major sections. And the first one is the physical one that ends here in Burgos. This is where your body's getting used to walking so many kilometers day in and day out. The second stage from Burgos to León is the mental one. You're in La Meseta. This is where you're in the treadmill. Everything remains the same for days on end, so you start to go deep inside. The final one, León to Santiago de Compostela, once you reach Galicia and you're in the mountains, is the spiritual one, the spiritual awakening, you might say, of the trip. Here's today's stage broken down with the help of Google Earth Pro, the elevation profile. Today we're going to be walking from El Alquimista de Agés to Burgos, 23 kilometer days, and after we do a little bit of a climb going over this hill over here, then it's just a nice gradual descent all the way to the city center, to the historic city center in Burgos. And thank God for that, because the weather was horrible, so to add even more mountains along the way would have made it even worse. There are a few small towns along the way where you can stop, resupply, get away from the rain, but they're close together. Like I said before, by the time you make it to the halfway point, you're already at the Polígono Industrial in Burgos. You still got a lot to walk, but you're almost there. I woke up at 7 in the morning, got my stuff together, was one of the last ones to leave the Albergue. I remember now looking back that I saw Fernando, one of the Spaniard pilgrims that I will get to walk the last stage of the Camino. I met him down the line with Ramon once I was getting closer to Galicia, and we walked together all the way to Santiago. So this is the first time that my camera saw him, because I didn't even notice him. So I was out of the Albergue 7:43 in the morning when I decided to have some breakfast. I stopped at the only bar that I saw that was open, jumped in, and I had the typical breakfast that I've come to enjoy over the past couple of weeks, and that is a croissant and a café con leche. You can see all the pilgrims in there, warming up, getting their coffee just before hitting the road. It was 8 in the morning when I left the Albergue and I was starting to head out. I put all my electronic gears in the backpack. No drone for today, at least not until I get to Burgos. So a water fountain here, and not far from there I saw for the first time one of those Utreya signs, and I was asking myself, what is this? So I asked my Spaniard friends, and they pretty much told me that back in medieval times, people did not say buen camino to each other. They spoke Latin, so what they would say was ultreia, and the correct response was etsuseia. It pretty much means keep going, and the response is go further. Or as they say in Toy Story, to infinity and beyond. The wind started picking up as I left the town, and you get to walk by a Roman bridge here. There are two in this town, one in this corner and the one up here, with a rest stop there that you can stop maybe for a picnic. If you started before in the town before, this could be like your mid-morning break. But I was walking on the road. I saw all the pilgrims in front of me. The wind was picking up, and it was getting very cloudy and overcast, and you could see that the weather was gonna turn for the worse. Not far from there are a few standing stones here. This is a place where the Battle of Atapuerca took place, and the king from Pamplona died in battle here fighting his brother's forces. Not far from here is an archaeological site, the Atapuerca archaeological site, just like the one in Santillana del Mar in the Camino del Norte. Human remains were found here, and they date back over 1 million years ago. So these are the oldest remains found in Western Europe. So the town here, I did not get to stop. I have only been walking for like half an hour, but I could see people like struggling with their ponchos. I was so glad that I had a rain jacket. I do come to enjoy using a poncho on the Camino del Norte later on because it's easy to put on and take it off. But if it's very windy, like it was today, then it could just blow off. So just get one of those that reach all the way down, and not the ones that get down to your waist. So the first 2 weeks, my legs were my major concern, especially my Achilles tendons that were hurting a lot. I did not get any blisters up until this point, and the one that I got was just like a tiny one right next to my big toe. I just kept an eye on it and hoping that it wasn't going to turn for the worse, and it didn't. You have a few water fountains here in the rest area by the main plaza. You got flags here in front of the city hall, and a few places where you can stop, a few albergues, private ones and such. There's also a bar here that I don't remember it being open when I passed by. It could have been just that there was just nobody outside because of how bad the weather was. Made a left turn here by this pilgrim statue, and soon I was once again out into the countryside. Now I was gonna go over this hill up in front of me, the highest point of the day for today, the highest climb. On your left hand side, you have a military zone with a wire fence. You're not supposed to go in there. By the way, you're not supposed to fly a drone either. And right here, when I was getting some shots of the cattle and the sheep, is when it started to rain. So as I was walking through this little mini forest, I had to take a quick stop under a tree to get some of the stuff out. And you could tell already that the rain was just like one of those side rains where it gets you on one side of your body and the other side is kind of like pretty much dry. Quick climb, as you can see, it didn't take long to get to La Cruz de Mata Grande. And a little bit further down the line is the highest point of the day at 1,000 meters, 1,075 meters. And from here you get your first views of the valley, and Burgos is all the way in the distance. We're at the 25% of the way. It was raining, and it's gonna rain from here all the way to the Albergue. So I'm not even gonna mention it again. Here there's a split, a fork on the road. I did not know about this left turn at the time, but not to worry, they both merged once again in this little village, Villalba, which by the way, it has the ruins of an old church that is just crumbled down, and it also has a Roman well right next to this water fountain and this rest stop. On a great day, this would be another place to stop for a little bite to eat. So I was following the yellow arrows, walked past the town, did not even go in there. And pretty soon I was at the next town, and that is Cardanoela Rio Pico. Man, when I got here, I was suffering already. I was completely soaking wet. It was very cold. I didn't have the gear for this kind of weather. So I stopped at this albergue, and once I went in, I saw a bunch of pilgrims. We were all in there drinking hot coffee, warming up. I was completely soaking wet. My camera, the lens, the condensation, you name it. So yeah, continue walking from now on. We're on the main road. We're not gonna be on a trail anymore, unless you make a detour at the airport. But yeah, I was walking, following the main road with the other pilgrims. I got to see the 519 kilometer marker here in this spot. I saw cars going in the opposite direction, and they would sometimes honk at the pilgrims if they were walking on the right hand side of the road. You're supposed to walk on the left hand side of the road so that at least you get to see the cars coming. It's a little tip there for you. So you have a few towns or neighborhoods, you might say, along the way here. And when I got to the last one, Agés Rio Pico, I stopped really quickly here in front of Ermita de la Inmaculada. It was 11 in the morning. Saw the Spaniards from the Albergue from yesterday. They were here, ponchos and all. And then continue on walking to this spot right before you cross over the main highway over the bridge here. Is the halfway point of the day. We still got a little bit to go. On the other side is where the famous the split on the road. On the left hand side is the old Camino, original Camino that trails the airport. So you're gonna get more airport than if you go on the right hand side. There's more dirt path. You're still gonna go through the Polígono Industrial. But if you want to stick to the river, there's another path that takes you here by the river's edge where people are running, jogging. You know, one of those paths that we come to enjoy. The one, I think the last one was in Pamplona that I mentioned to you guys about. But on a day like today that was raining, that it was miserable, it was just better to stick to the main road, which is what I did. And the wind, the gusts of winds were so strong that they were pushing me aside as I was making my way next to the airport. Pretty soon you enter the Polígono Industrial, you get to Villafría. By the way, I found out later on that Burgos is one of the coldest towns in or region in the whole of Spain. And it was like 7 degrees Celsius, and I have been walking already all morning under the pouring rain with strong gusts of wind, and I was feeling it. As I was making my way down the Polígono Industrial, you know, I used to pick up all the flowers in the countryside, so here I saw fitting that I would just pick up like a nail. I saw cops pass me by, they honked at me, I said I was fine. Did not see many pilgrims in this stretch. A lot of them were taking either taxis or buses to skip it because it was miserable. Made it to this roundabout. This is the street that divides the industrial section from the city of Burgos. It was 7 degrees Celsius. I still had an hour to walk until I got to the city center. Remember walking by Iglesia de Santa María la Real y Antigua de Gamola. The bells were ringing when I got here. But I continue on walking past this scallop shell on the side of the building. This city, it is time here to resupply, get your money from the ATMs, you know, get anything from the pharmacies that you may need or buy things at the supermarket because up ahead is La Meseta and there's less support than in this region. Here's where the Camino, the official Camino, this variant where they joined. If I had to do it all over again, I would follow the river Arlanzón all the way to the historic city center, and this one is one of the best ones on the entire Camino. Burgos Cathedral, to me, is one of the best cathedrals that I've ever been in my life. You get to enter the city by the Arco de Santa María if you take this detour after you go over Puente de Santa María, and there it is. This is where you have the pilgrim statue that's sitting on the bench. A lot of people take pictures here. I did one as well. And I got to the Albergue, the municipal Albergue, at 2:30 in the afternoon. It was already 4 degrees Celsius, so I was feeling it, man. And not to mention the fact that I got lost getting here. I ended up by this, not too far away from there, by this place. I thought this was the municipal Albergue, but the door was closed. I had to backtrack until I found the yellow arrows once again. And then I made it to the Albergue. There was a line in front of me. My hands were shaking. I was outside the door. I just could not wait to get in. And once I did, I was having problems with just getting my passport, my pilgrim passport, and giving it to the guy. My lips were numb. I could barely speak. This is a massive albergue, one of the biggest ones I've seen on the Camino de Santiago. Everything is modern and new. You even have a place to put your shoes. It's like a retractable door. You go up, I don't remember what floor I was in, but once I got my bunk bed, I took a shower and I had like red spots in my torso. Everything hurt, everything was frozen stiff. I think I did my laundry by hand and I hang it by the window. And then I decided to head out with the Spaniards that I met here, my friends. It was 4:45 in the afternoon. We went to the cafe right across the street to get something to eat, drink. We had some red wine. And then decided to go explore the town a little bit. It was 5:45. We were taking pictures here behind the cathedral by this water fountain on this side. And then at 5:51, we went into the cathedral to explore a little bit. I also came back the day after because tomorrow, day 14, is a rest day. Yes, much deserved rest day. And I will get to split from my friends. They continue on walking and I stay behind, but I will get to meet them a few days down the line. And guys, that was the end of the day. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, was a rest day. I'm going to talk about it now because it's not going to be a video for day 14. What am I going to show you? We're not going anywhere. So here's what I've learned so far on the Camino in the first couple of weeks. Is that I got to know my gear a lot better. Now I knew where to put it, the things that I really needed, what I brought that was extra. I also got to break in my body, my legs, especially my legs. I was already getting into the routine. I had tried living at different times at the Albergue, starting like from 6:30 all the way to 8. In the end, it's whatever works for you. Do you want to have breakfast in the same town where you wake up? Or do you want to walk 5 kilometers to the next one? Because bars usually open around 7 in the morning. Here's another tip. You guys already know that you cannot stay in the same albergue 2 nights in a row, not in the major city, not in one like Burgos. I will get to find this the hard way. When I was in Logroño, they let me do it, but I think it was at the beginning of the season and there weren't that many pilgrims out. On the downside, if they do let you do it, you cannot stay in the albergue. Like if you're in a hotel, you still have to pick up your stuff, get out, and then come back when they open. In this case, it's noon. Some albergues open at 2, so you have to wander the streets wearing all your gear. That's what I did in Burgos. I explored the church a little bit more. Amazing church here. I got some drone shots from this viewpoint. Also the Castillo de Burgos all the way up here. I got to walk by the plazas. You got a few ones. It was May 1st or Workers' Day, so I was walking the street. They had the May 1st march. And when I went to the albergue, there was already a line outside. I did the line, and when I got to inside, they told me, no way, you cannot stay here. So I walked the street trying to find a place to stay, and I found one right here by the main bus station. They have a private hostel. It's a little bit more expensive, but at least the rooms are smaller. They also have a cafeteria, and the breakfast was included in the price. So that was day 13 and 14. Tomorrow we start another stage of the trip. We're still in the province of Burgos, but up ahead is La Meseta, and I do not recommend that you skip it because every section of the trip has its charm. I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow.